Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we've initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of this session is ITIL, Master the Art of Implementing IT Service Management. Our guest speaker today is Suresh GP. He is the founder and managing director at Top Solutions and board of director of ITSMF India. He is a practitioner with over 14 years of IT experience and 8 years at Hewlett Packard. His expertise spans in different facets of ITSM, IT governance, project and program management, and ISO standards. Suresh is also the regional manager, Southeast Asia and Middle East of Gaming Works, delivering business simulations to partners and customers worldwide. We expect this webinar to last for about an hour with about 40 to 45 minutes of presentation and remainder time for Q&A round. So if you have any questions, please submit them using questions tab on your GoToMeeting control panel. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Suresh.
Hi, are you able to see my screen as well as I speak? Hopefully you're able to hear the audio. Morning, good afternoon, thanks for the kind introduction for today's session. I welcome you all for today's session on mastering the art of implementing service management. We have a good mix of audience today as we speak, so we'll have to pace this discussion so that everybody gets involved in this today's topic. So let's go and look at what is the agenda for today. We'll talk about context setting as part of what are we going to cover in the next 45 minutes. What is ITIL and ITSM? Most of you might be aware of ITIL, and some of you have become intermediates and service management professionals. So we're going to talk about difference between ITIL and ITSM. Talk on how the ITIL courses are structured from a foundation level to the expert level. We're going to talk about career opportunities and ITSM landscape. That means if you are a professional or looking out for a career opportunity being in service management, how does ITIL help you reach there? And we will talk about implementing service management to a bit, but if you are a practitioner, you very well know it is very difficult to cover in the 45 minutes of time. But we'll do our best, but I would strongly encourage you to come up with questions. Put your questions under the questions panel, and we will take up the questions at the end of the session. We'll talk also about the training program and Q&A. Now, what is service management, and what is service management to do in the context of IT, right? So before we talk about IT service management, we need to talk about ITIL. ITIL stands for IT Infrastructure Library. So if you look at infrastructure management, that was primarily where the processes were laid out. And if you are a follower of being ITIL for a long period of time, this particular ITIL has been coming from Cabinet Office, the UK, which was the best practices followed in the government sector before it actually became a best practice and we all started using it. So primarily ITIL has been used for infrastructure management purposes, for processes, and developing best practices around these processes. Now, what is this infrastructure management that we are talking about? So we will have a subsequent slide that will talk about this infrastructure management component. So infrastructure management, that if you look at, you have a website and you have some applications running across. So all the underlying IT infrastructure, be it servers, network like LAN, WAN, virtual environment, security, servers, storage, that is means your database, the storage of file systems, all that along with monitoring, alerting, notifications, all are a part of infrastructure management. So, for example, you have a website that you can look at the traffic, the pace of the website, the downloading speed, and you can look at redundancy. That means if the server goes down, there is another one that is backing up, and so on and so forth. So all the kind of infrastructure elements that we work to support a service or provide a service is the infrastructure management component. Okay. Now, if you look at from organizational needs, and we need to pace it out in the context of looking at what is the organization today that is employing people in service management looking at, right? If you look at the left-hand side, we need to know the company starts to understand what we have today. That means as an organization, as a Fortune company or a startup or a small mid-sized segment, they understand what are the services that they are being providing to the end client and what kind of services that you're going to roll out in future. That is what you need for tomorrow. And then, in order to improve from what we have to tomorrow, how do we work on it? Like, what do you need to improve now in order to take it further? For example, you might be a traditionally company providing desktop support or network support in a traditional IT infrastructure environment. Tomorrow, you decide to go on a cloud. So you need to understand what are the kind of skills, competencies, behaviors, environments that you need to change from the existing current model of operation. So knowing all that skill gaps, competency requirements, other stuff will be critical in order to facilitate the organizational needs. Okay. Now, if you look at the aspect of effective workforce, you all people who are attending belong to a effective workforce in your respective organization. So organizations are looking at competencies, capabilities, fitting the right people at the right role, and delivering value. Right. This is the normal expectation of an organization embarking on any of the delivery of service. Now, having said that, how is ITIL going to help you to provide as a meaningful professional to deliver business outcomes? So as I told you, it is IT infrastructure library. It's a best practice framework. It's not prescriptive. When I say it's not prescriptive, it does not say you have to do the way ITIL tells you to do that. So it is just a guideline, a framework, and it is up to you to leverage those best practice principles and apply it to the context of an organization. So as every framework evolves over a period of time, right from 1990 where we had the version 1, right now we are in 2015 where we are running version 3. So it has evolved over a period of time, as you know, with the landscape changing, with the technology advancement. Remember, from the earlier mainframe days to .com to TechBird, we have actually evolved. So the ITIL as a framework has also evolved with new changes happening in the environment, and we are currently on the version 3. So the primary objective of ITIL as a best practice framework is to deliver superior customer service using streamlined process. Let me ask you a question. So you have an organization, like, or you call up someone for a help desk, for a bank, or a customer restaurant, or anywhere, you call up someone to get an issue resolved. They fix the issue, you're happy, but you're not sure whether if you call them next time, it would still work. Now, how does the customer or the benefactor get a confidence that irrespective of number of times you call people or other stuff, you should be able to get the same response? That's because you have a well-defined process which is consistent across people. So it is not people-dependent anymore, but it is process-dependent. So that's the whole point of making it a consistent way of adopting ITIL. Now, it is not only for IT companies. It can go beyond IT to all the different industries. Pharma, manufacturing, telecom, insurance, and other stuff have also started using ITIL as a best practice framework to deliver superior. Moving on. ITIL V3 contains core volumes. So we have 5 core volumes, which is it talks about what I term is called as service strategy. You begin with the strategy, you then go with design. So if you look at the box in the center, you have a strategy which is 2 P. Then you have a service design based on a strategy. You design the processes, architecture, and other stuff. Then you have go for the transition, which means you need to transition from the development environment to a production environment, be it release management, other stuff. And then once it goes live, you go into operations. That means keeping the lights on, running business as usual. So there are a certain set of processes that get addressed in each of the volumes. So we talked about strategy, design, transition, operations. And then the last one is continual service improvement. So you might be familiar with the quality aspect of Deming cycle, which is plan, do, check, and. So irrespective of where you are in the service journey, you are looking at improving your certain aspects to improve the whole experience of the customer. So that is called continual service. So there are 5 core volumes, and then there are underneath processes that embed to these stuff. So from an examination perspective, for an individual like you, you have ITIL Foundation. That's the first level that you give a foundation certificate, and then you go to intermediate, then expert, and master. Okay. So you have different possibilities where you can become either at the foundation level where you get an overall understanding. Then you can specialize yourself in certain areas, like for example, service operations or transition or release and control validation. Now this intermediate is divided into 2 P's, which is the capability stream as well as the lifecycle stream. We'll talk about it. Then expert and then master. Master is you will have to submit a project like a thesis, you have to defend a thesis, and then you become qualified as a master. So as I told you, there are different processes. So we have strategy, design, transition, operations, and process. So all the underlying processes are going to be a part of this. So I'm not going to go into this details because it itself will take time, but you will have an understanding of what are the processes. For example, in strategy, we are talking about what is the business, what kind of customers you have, how are you managing your finance portfolio, what's your strategy, what's your service portfolio looking like. Similarly, you have all these other processes. So we have close about all these processes embedded in different stuff. When you look at foundation, you will cover all the basic elements of definition, their roles, responsibilities, workflows, and other stuff. But then when you go in detail to intermediate, you will be having more of analysis, scenario-based questions to understand more in how this is being applied to the organization context. So what is IT service management? So we talked about ITIL, which is the best practice framework. So that's a set of principles, processes. But when it comes to service management, it's applying this in the organization environment. So implementing quality of IT services by planning, delivering, operating, and control to your end user environment. So you should have policies, you should have organizational structure, procedures, like you have a procedure, for example, how to reboot a server, how to do a security check, how to do release management. So you will have a set of processes and procedures that is unique to your own organization. So you fit into all these organizational structures, policies, processes, all put together to deliver services that are process dependent or not person dependent. Now ISO IT 20000, if you look at ISO standard, ISO standard is basically a standard for certifying your organization on best practice process. So if you are a company, if you are a service provider in providing IT service management, have all the IT processes, then you can get yourself certified as part of ISO IT 20000. That means you need to comply to all these 14 processes and then get yourself endorsed as ISO IT 20000. So this 2011 version has opened it up for non-IT sectors. So irrespective of whether you are a pharma company or a manufacturing company you're a construction company, you can still get yourself organized in ISO IT 20000. This ISO IT 20000 is only for organizations, but not for an individual. So there are 4 P's of service management, which are critical, essential elements of delivery. Okay. Now, okay, so just close it. Is this better? I'll probably hold it on thing for a while. I'll just probably have to switch off the webcam a while so that it's easier not to distract people, and then you can hear it. I hope this is a lot better. If you could just look
Yes,
at it.
yes, Suresh.
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Okay. So we have these people, processes, products, and partners. And when we talk about these one, you know, people means you are the people. Processes, best practice processes could be incident, problem, change. Products, that means you have tools, service management tools. You can have your monitoring tools to look at availability of a server, availability of your website and other stuff. And also partners. That means in order to deliver a service, you have your own entire ecosystem that is going to cover your suppliers, your third-party vendors, and also service providers to do that, right? So all these 4 elements will combine to deliver a service stuff. Now, if you look at coming on to the ITSM landscape, and that's what I want you to spend time. How is this ITIL certificate going to help you? How are you? You need to know where is your landscape looking like. What are the possible roles and opportunities that you have to that you can come and deliver these engagements. So if you look at it on the left-hand side, you have this internal IT. That means as you have a captive centers that you are delivering it within your own organization. So you're not delivering, you don't have external customers, you do it for your own employees to do that. Then there's another set that comes with as external service provider. That means you as an organization deliver the services or products to end clients who are across geographies or in anywhere around the world, right? Now, there are 2 sets. Now, you can do a process implementation. That means assessing the processes, best practice processes. You can design processes, looking at whether this process is fitting well. Are you following a good escalation mechanism? Do you have a mechanism to resolve things within the timeline? All that stuff that can be done. So that is process design. Tools development. So as I told you, the process will have to be consolidated into a tool. So if you are using an IT service management tool, you will have to have aligned best practice process. That means you need to track all the tickets being logged in. You need to know what is the time duration in which this particular ticket has to be resolved. You need to have a mechanism to communicate with the customer. You need to have a mechanism to send a mail notification saying that, okay, this is the time that you will receive, this is completed, this is closed, or get some information and do the processing. You need to have troubleshooting measures and so on and so forth. So there's also tools that needs to be aligned for your in consensus with your processes. Then I talked about standards, which is ISO IC 20000 standard, which talks about compliance to all these 14 processes. Then you can do deploying tools. You can do operation support. Now I know a lot of people who are in production support. They will call themselves as level 1 support, level 2 support, level 3. They solve tickets. They route it to a next team. They solve technical issues. So they are technical support teams. Then you can do consulting. So I was a consultant. So you can go to companies and organizations to say where they are having gaps, which areas need to be improved from a people, process, products, and partners perspective, and deliver outcomes. Then you can also do audits. That means auditing for ISO IC 20000, you should have internal audits. So internally, you evaluate whether things are good, are they doing the right way, and then you take it forward, matching to their expectation. Now, this is a typical ITIL service portfolio sample. Now, so they have enterprise computing services, you have infrastructure services, you have convergence services, you have end-user computer services. These are a whole lot of services under which you have this technical component: database, server, storage, identity management, WAN, LAN, desktop, all that stuff. So this is how it looks like, how ITIL services are being managed. And this is just an example, just to give you an understanding of how organizations set up these services and how this is aligned with managed services. So you can have large outsourcing companies supporting shared infrastructure, or today from on-premise they go to cloud, they can manage all these infrastructure items. Now, how does an org structure look in an organization? So you have the head of IT, and then they have an IT service manager, which has all the service support and delivery. Now, support is basically the operation stuff like problem team, operations team, network team. You can talk about data center team, support team, application team, all that stuff. Then delivery, which is talking about availability, capacity. Do you have sufficient capacity? Do you have continuity of service if something goes down? Do you have financial? Are you able to meet the contractual agreements or service level agreements? All those stuff will happen to the way that you require to happen. So then you have the development manager, which we have the application development team who are developed into web development. They also have an application support team. And then the strategy team, which is talking more at an account level, projects level, procurement level across. So some of the sample org structure, it is not that every organization we need to follow, but give you an example of how all these ITIL roles fit into the normal roles that you see. Now, coming to certifications, and when I talk about certification, there are different levels, right? We talked about ITIL Foundation to intermediate to expert. So each and every level contains certain way of evaluation to look at what is being tested. So the first one that you had was the basic one. So you look at foundation, that is the basic one here. Then you have the second level, which is basically the intermediate, that will talk about knowledge and comprehension, which is going to be the intermediate level. Then you have the expert level, where you are applying the concepts of learning these processes, principles, all those elements into practice of a scenario, right? For example, if there is an issue, how do you address that? And then finally, you will do an analysis as to say which is right, which is wrong, which you go to the advanced level of doing it. So organizations are getting certified from a level of basic to do that. So your certification, I'm saying organization is, I'm sorry, it is people, when you're going for ITIL V3, foundation, intermediate, and expert, this is how your understanding, your knowledge, comprehension, everything goes ahead on the layer. Now, as far as this particular certification is concerned, so you have credits that gets assigned to every exam that you take up. So it starts with ITIL Foundation. So we will be running foundation courses where I'll be driving through some of these principles and talking across. So you get 2 credits for ITIL Foundation. So that means once you clear the exam of ITIL Foundation, which is a 40 questions, and you need to get about 28 questions right to get yourself qualified, and then you become an ITIL Foundation certified. So you get 2 credits, and then you go to the intermediate, which is either a service lifecycle, and the second one is called capability. So everything is just, first one is strategy, design, transition, operation, CSI will get 3 credits, and similarly the PPO, planning, portfolio optimization, the RCV and other modules will have a service lifecycle, which is all 4 credits. Irrespective of whether you use your ITIL service lifecycle or a capability module, you can do a mix and match, or just focus on one set. Then you need to write the management across lifecycle, which is a common paper that you need to write, whether you come from the lifecycle route or the capability route, and then you acquire 22 credits to become an ITIL expert. Okay, so that's the point. And then if you want to become a master, you need to demonstrate, you have to defend the thesis of doing an ITSM implementation project and defend how you've done it well. So that's how it has practical experience of working in these stuff to deliver these items. Okay, so we move on. I'll just take a pause and see what we have. 2 questions I'll just take. Can a person take up SO and ST at the same time for the intermediate exam? So SO stands for service operations and ST stands for service transition. At the same time for the intermediate, you can take, but my question is, how will you take it on the same time? You need to give a gap because these are going to be 2 different exams. So you can take up a service operations exam first and then take up service transition, or you can take up service transition exam and after that you can take service operations. So there's no sequence required, but you can take only 1 exam at a time. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you, because you cannot, you cannot write the exam together in the same time, so it will be at a different time. Hope, Abhishek, that answers your question. What is the eligibility criteria for these certificates? Now, there is no eligibility criteria. The beauty of things is, unlike project management, professional PMP, you need to have 5 years of experience of managing projects and delivering engagements in different formats. For ITIL Foundation, you don't require any prerequisites. So you have to be an ITIL Foundation. Anybody can take an ITIL Foundation certification. Now, ITIL Foundation certificate, once you get, only you become eligible for intermediate. So the prerequisite for an intermediate, unquote, is you need to have an ITIL Foundation certificate. Hope that answers your question in terms of eligibility criteria. For Foundation, there is no eligibility, but for intermediate, you need to have passed ITIL Foundation to take up either an intermediate service lifecycle or a service lifecycle or a capability module. What does it mean by credits? That's a good question, Mahesh Kumawat. Now, what do you mean by credits is just like points. So I'm just trying to go back to the previous one. So for example, here we are talking about if you pass on ITIL Foundation, you'll be given with 2 points, or let's say 2 credits. So you acquire points after every module. So for example, I did service foundation, I get 2 points, then service strategy 3 points, service design 3, service transition 3, service operation 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17 points after I complete my intermediate, and then I go to managing across life cycle, which will give me 5 credits or 5 points, and it becomes 22. So it's like a point system in a simple way when you talk about credits. Okay, so we go on. Keep posting your questions, and then I'll take it up from there later. So I talked about capability streams. Sorry. So under capability streams, we have RCV, release control validations, so some of the modules here, which I don't want you to keep it at this moment. When you come up to the foundation courses, we will talk about what will be essential for you, because I wanted to just get a feeler of the overall picture, the big picture and other stuff, and we will spend more time this part of doing this. So this is also available as part of recording and the slides, so you can refer it later as we talk about this one. Okay, so these are areas of processes that will get followed under the respective things. For example, release control validation, we'll talk about change management, release and deployment management, service validation and testing, which means testing process. All those stuff will be a part of this particular stream. So you can choose based on your nature of profile what you want to do and how it takes forward. Now, people always ask me when I do this training, what is better? Do I need to do the capability stream or do I need to do the life cycle stream? As I told you, you can do both, or you can do a mix and match or anything of that sort. As you look at capability stream, it emphasizes on process relationships, RACI, which is roles, accountable, consulted, informed, right? Responsible, accountable, consulted, informed, and implementation control. So lifecycle is more from implementing complete service lifecycle, from a strategy, film things, you touch about the big picture and other stuff. For example, consultants like me need to have a broader understanding of how the service lifecycle operates. So if you are going to be a consultant, I would strongly recommend you to go for a lifecycle mode as compared to capability stream. It doesn't mean that capability stream is not good. It is really depending on what role you prefer. For example, you might be a release manager or you do only change management. Then you want to specialize yourself on change management, so you would rather focus on release and control validation process. So that's got inputs, activities, content, metrics, output. So covers broader aspects of service lifecycle. So we will be able to qualify, tell you which should be suiting you when we understand your existing needs and what you want to do in the future. Okay. Job opportunities. Okay, it's great that you become an IT Foundation guy, you become an intermediate, you complete these modules, you become an expert. What is it for you? I mean, how does it translate for job opportunities or career opportunities? So you can actually become a process owner, you can become a process manager, you can become a process consultant, you can become a tools consultant, where you are deploying tools. We have a lot of tools in this market today. We have from ServiceNow to HP to BMC to Serval. We have so many products, so many tools require people to deliver that. So they have to understand processes. They have to have tool knowledge in tweaking stuff and knowing how to implement those in real time. Then we have solution architects, that if you're a solution architect designing the IT infrastructure processes, you can become technical writers writing about your release management process and other stuff. As I told you, if you are in production support, you can become a first line support, second line support, third line support. You can become a service desk manager. You can become a service owner. That means owner of that particular service. You can also become a vendor liaison manager and so on and so forth. Right? So you have multiple opportunities that will fit in based on your level of experience, level of knowledge, and implementing what you have you are implementing. Okay, so what matters, right? What really matters if you want to implement something or you want to become a service management professional is to understand business and professional know-how. So you need to be very good in your technical skills. That means you know about process, you need to know about the landscape, you need to know about your roles and responsibilities, your ecosystem, your customer well, professionally, and you need to have skills and competencies that are going to match with your requirements. So what is important is to understand that what skills do you require. Most of the people think that it's only the technical skills that are important. No, you need to have soft skills. You need to have behavioral skills. You need to understand. You need to listen more, and so on and so forth. That will be quite crucial to be in a service desk. How many of you have experience that someone calls you a service desk and they yell at you? So they are going to be irate customers. How do you tackle them? How do you handle them with their queries, and how do you provide responses? So that's very important to do due diligence when you are trying to do as part of this work. Okay. Then on network, so you need to know your teams. You need to understand who is doing what. You need to network across the industry. What is the industry dimension going? What is the best practice of doing things here? So over a period of last 1 year, I've actually traveled across about 10 countries, and I've actually spoken in different conferences. And whenever I meet people, they have a different set of challenges. So you get to know more about how people are using IT service management in their workplace. That's a humongous learning and experience when you talk and network with your kind of professionals across the globe. So don't undermine the way of network connects with people across different geographies with the level of experience and expertise. A good place could be LinkedIn itself. You look at their profiles, how they've started with a simple services manager to have gone to a CIO or a CEO of a company. So you need to understand what does it take and what kind of skills and competencies is required to move on. That is how then you will place yourself in getting certification. My humble request is just getting a certificate will not help you anywhere. It's just a beginning. You need to have hard work. You need to have technical prowess. You need to get on-the-job training. You need to work and have experience to actually become a service management consultant or a practitioner. So that's a word of caution that I want to tell you. Community building. So join community. So I'm a part of IT Service Management Forum. IT Service Management Forum is a non-profit organization which is aimed at providing professionals to talk about each other, share experiences about what went right, what went wrong, and other stuff. If you're a member of Facebook, I would strongly recommend you to log into Back to ITSM. I'm part of the group as well. So there are about 1,900 practitioners who could help you if you have any issues in implementation and queries and other stuff that they can do. There are a lot of LinkedIn groups, and I'm also part of the ITSM of USA ISO IT 20000 special interest group, where we also run these kind of webinars where you can learn to that and you can listen to that. So there's so much of ways that you can build those network connects, contacts, and take it beyond the thing. What we will do as part of these EduReca courses, we'll start with ITIL Foundation. So there are a lot of people who are from different backgrounds. We start with ITIL Foundation. It's a 2-weekend course. We spend about 3 to 4 hours on a Saturday and Sunday, and that's like it's flexible enough to listen. And we have practitioners who will talk. We will give you real lifetime examples, like running through everything, rather than just talking from the books. So they come up with real-time experiences, how they've implemented status design, what challenges they face. So it becomes a lot more easier for you to understand practical aspects. talk about how this fits into every process. Now, how does it work? It's a live online class. So you will have recording, class recording. You will have 24/7 post-class support that you can have body-wise quiz. After the one section, we will give you a quiz so that you are able to get proficiency in comprehending what is there. We'll also have some project work as needed, some discussion, some debate, and then we will have a certificate which is verifiable, which means you will get to sign up and get yourself certified on ITIL Foundation and so on and so forth. Okay, so I will now take up any questions. We are almost on getting done of the session today. I wanted to open it up for Q&A. Please feel free to ask any questions through the question window, and then we can pick it up here. I have a question from Balakrish. Is ITIL course essential to work in risk management of IT? Good question, Balakrish. Now, risk management is a broader field, right? I mean, if you look at ISACA, which is having C risk, which is there is a separate course like Certified Risk and Information Security Professional. So risk management is a broader term. ITIL is not essential to do with risk management, but you have a better understanding of ITIL. And ITIL can be applied in project management term, where we have project management term also has got risk management in practice. So you will be able to understand better, to understand how risk management works in the context of, for example, business impact and risk analysis. So when we come to change management, we will talk about how to do business impact analysis. So we'll talk about possible risk. What happens if you are rolling out and something fires, something fails? How will you revert back to the original patch? Or so we will talk about all those risk, business risk, IT risk, security risk, all that stuff as part of ITIL as well. But it's not a prerequisite. You get always a good understanding of how this could be applied in project management terms. So we have answered those questions. Any other questions from anybody? Please use the question window that we can take up. In the interim, I will ask if there is any other questions, moderator, if we have seen other than what I have seen.
Yes, Suresh, we do see questions from Sogan Gola. Yeah. Can you explain capability?
Yeah, so I'm just coming here. I'm coming to the next one. What is the use of these points? So these points, for example, these points, it's Muhammad Tafsil Ansari. So these points help you to get yourselves an ITIL Master Certificate. So you can restrict yourself at ITIL Foundation itself. That means you get 2 points and it is valid. So if you want to go for an ITIL expert, then you need to accumulate these points, and only when you get those 22 points, you will be certified as a ITIL expert. So these points are essential to qualify yourself to the next level. So where can we utilize these points? As I told you, Mohammed, it's only, you cannot utilize anywhere. You can only use it to claim your ITIL expert certificate after you complete all your courses. Shubhangi Valke, what is the difference between problem and incident? Very good question. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are in an organization where a printer is not working. Okay, so when a printer is not working, you call up your facilities department and say the printer is not working on the 7th floor. So that time it's an incident. So that is a one-off case. That is a disruption to a service. Now what we have also understood that every time you go beyond 50 pages, it actually stops. So we are seeing recurring incidents that becomes a possibility of a problem that we need to understand a root cause. So when it comes to an incident that a printer is not working, I can tell you, okay, Shubhangi, the 7th floor printer is not working. You can probably use the 5th floor printer and take it up. So that is a workaround, but it's not a permanent resolution, correct? So incidents can be dealt with by just providing a workaround. However, what I see is repeatedly I'm seeing printer on 7th floor not working, then I understand there is some issue which is causing the repeated incidents, and I do a troubleshooting or root cause analysis, then come up with every time it is more than 50 pages, it is not thing. The root cause is more than 50 pages, it does not work, so I need to upgrade my drivers. or print drivers. Then I have to raise a change and then put that across. Then it resolves the underlying problem. So that is the difference between incident and a problem. Hope that answers your question, Shubhangi. Capability and life cycle slide again. Okay, so let me go back to the slide of capability and life cycle. So yes, now I think the life cycle here. Okay, so this is a slide I'm talking about. I'm just talking about. So basically, if you look at it, in a very simple term, capability is for people who are deep rooted in certain activities. For example, there are people who do only incident management or only production support, or there are people only who do change management, like approving changes, looking at business impact analysis. So if you are very much deep technical guys doing support related activities, then I would suggest going through a capability stream. If it is life cycle, means you get a broader understanding. It's like jack of all trades and master of none. That it might be a possibility where you want to have a broader understanding of it works. So that is how we differentiate a capability versus a life cycle one. Subhajit Chakrabarti. Sir, I'm working as a technical support engineer. Is ITIL going to help me in my career? Kindly suggest any books for the certification. Absolutely correct. Technical support engineers, strong recommendation to go with ITIL. So you have an ITIL Foundation certification that you can go through. There are ITIL core books. Now it's a property of Axelos. So there are several books. You can, you can look at axelos.com. There you can look at all the books that you can purchase. But I would suggest that even Googling, you can get a lot of these books. But practically, if you want to do it, I would recommend you to go for a training so that we can advise you of how to go about in pursuing your career. How to become an ITIL trainer? Venkates's question is how to become an ITIL trainer. Okay. First of all, you need to complete your courses. That means you need to complete your foundation, intermediate, and expert. So you have to complete all those courses. Then you need to apply for it as a trainer within ATO. So there is something called as ATO, which is accredited training organization. You need to be affiliated to that ATO. So then the ATO will apply for an accreditation training for you, accredited trainer for you, and then you become a part of that ATO. Who will deliver these trainings. So we will talk about ATOs and accredited training organization later, but that's the practical we learn. You need to be affiliated with accredited training organization to become an IT expert or IT trainer. I've done ITV3. Do I need to go ITV3 expert or can I go to an SPMP? So once you go to there is no prerequisite that you need to be always doing foundation, intermediate expert. No mandatory. Okay, it is up to you. It really depends on what you want to do. Do you want to be a project manager, or do you want to be an expert, or do you want to do this phase? It really depends on what is your career plan. And based on that, you can go either for an expert or you want to do project management. In my case, I was first an ITIL expert. I come from the ITIL manager days. I was an IT expert. And I thought ITIL is only one that I want to do also project management. Then I became a project management professional. So my understanding increased after I did my IT service management. So it will really help. They are complementing each other. So both are good. It really depends on what you want to do immediately. The next question is with Snigdha Siyastala. Is it advisable for people with just 1-2 experience in IT security domain? Now the beauty of this Snigdha is you don't need to have 5 years of experience like project management. You just can do it within 2 years. So I would say this is a good opportunity. You can do it even within 2 years. And because you've just 2 years, you can absorb more, because sometimes people come with baggage. So it is very difficult to unearth certain things. So absolutely, you can actually do that well and you will learn more. And as you grow up, you will also have your certificate that will complement your skills to do that. So it will only get better as you start early. So absolutely, you can go ahead, even as with IT security domain, go ahead and do this ITIL. And we also cover security management as part of one of the projects. What is use of service strategy? Imtiaz Khan. A very valid question, Imtiaz. Now, service strategy is normally at the corporate level. For example, I'm just giving a very simple example. We have a company called Bharati Airtel, where is a telecom company, one of the leading companies in India. Now, if they are going to launch a 4G service, So they will come up with a service strategy. So they will look at what is the business case, what is the kind of demand in this market, which geography that we are going to use it. So what is going to be a portfolio of services. So this is more from a corporate perspective to understand what is there going to be a roadmap of services that you're going to deliver, who are their competitors, how are they going to address these markets. So service strategy is really, really powerful for the organization. So I run my own company called Top Solutions. So I have my own strategy of whether I'm going to do consulting, whether my services will be on consulting, training, or gamification or business simulations. So that's my own strategy. That's my core of my business. So if I don't have my strategy correct, I cannot deliver products and services that could make me money. So service strategy is the starting point to roll out these stuff, and it's more you talk about decision-making capability. So I hope, Imtiaz, at one point of time, you become a CA of the company and CEO of the company where service strategy becomes absolutely critical. So you come from the bottom layer of operations, then transition, design, then you come to the strategy layer. So that's how strategy is getting used to. Next, Mahesh, I have 6.6 years of experience. Please confirm MBA. IT will help me to become IT manager, or will I go to ITIL V3, Prince 2, or PMP? Now, that's a very difficult question to answer because I need to know what has been your 6.6 years of experience. What have you done? And do you need to do MBA and other stuff? It really doesn't matter, right? If you want to become an IT manager, irrespective of whether you are ITIL V3 or a Prince 2 or MBA, will never help. You need to have actual experience. Okay, this is just a starting point. So you need to have experience of managing people, managing process, managing products. So just getting certificate or a degree will not help you at all. It will definitely aid you. So the answer is, this will only aid. It really requires actual practical experience to showcase to become an IT manager. Rajshekhar, completed ITIL Foundation. Please, how to do the credits help to choose my career to next level? So we need to talk. I mean, ask Edureka and we will help you as to how we can do that. So there are ITIL intermediate courses that you can attend, and we also do kind of mentoring and support to as 24/7 to help you, and you can have a dialogue with us to understand where you are, what is your interest, and we can help you to advise on next steps. Okay, so get in touch with Edureka, or once you get a notification, contact them and they will be pointing out to us, and then we will initiate a dialogue and then we will discuss on that. Incident versus problems versus change management. Please confirm interrelationship. Okay, so we cannot run an entire course, but I'll give you a very simple example. The simple example of a printer that we talked about, right? Now, the printer is not working on the 7th floor. So that was an incident, and repeatedly we are seeing issues reported from the 7th floor. So I create a problem ticket and I say to do a root cause analysis. And then I found out that and I say that, okay, now what is the problem, or what is the root cause? And I say, oh, okay, the print driver has to be upgraded. Then I create a change record. So I have an incident which is related to a problem record. And then the problem record will open up a change record, which means I'll have a known error that I will say the known error is it does not work more than 50 pages. So that means print driver have to be updated. So then I raise a change record and associate that and say I will have to upgrade the print drivers. So from an incident, I have raised a problem record, which I've created a known error. And from the known error, in order to address this known error of 50 pages not being able to print, I need to upgrade drivers, which I need to get approval from a change management, and then I approve it. So at the end of the day, we would have upgraded the print drivers, and then after it will print on the 7th floor even more than 50 pages. Are you able to get the correlation between incidents, problems, and changes? So that's an example of how incident, problem, and change management process works. Please write the names of the book on the monitor for us to note down. So, okay, and I will have to type in, but so you can, so ITIL V3, okay, service, so it'll be all be like this: strategy, service, design, service, transition. I'm just typing in service, operations, and continual service improvement. Okay. So I've just typed it and sent it to all, and that is some of the things that you will see. You can Google it, and you can go to axelos.com, and then you will be able to get that across to do that. Very good interview related question. Okay, so you will have to, the interview related questions is not something that I will need to address here, because we are only here to share about this knowledge about how this ITIL. There are other LinkedIn forums that you can go there and do that. So we will not be able to take up that question here, Mahesh. Okay, so any other questions? So books and slides and videos, I think, as I told you, go to axelos.com. Axelos.com. That is the official website where we have the details of all the products and part to do that. Okay. ITSM, ITIL, ITSM, both are same. No, ITIL is a framework, Prema, Kumari, and IT service management is implementing those principles that you've learned in ITIL in actual practice. So ITSM that I told you, that was the slide that we talked about. ITIL is starting for IT infrastructure library that gives principles of processes. IT service management is implementing that best practice process into organization environment. Okay. Jimod, I am into an end user support service, moving into remote support for VDA. Please tell me the scope of ITIL in my field. So absolutely. So if you are looking at support, so for example, you will provide first-hand support or remote support. That means people are calling you for a ticket. You're going to resolve the ticket. You're going to communicate. So you need to understand better of how to manage service desk. You need to have a better understanding of how to define best practice process for escalation management, service level agreements, metrics, roles and responsibilities, improving knowledge base. So absolutely critical. I mean, ITIL is going to be your bread and butter, and that is going to be the future in which you will be able to enhance, and you will be also able to progress as a service desk manager. You can also become a consultant. You can become a solution architect. So all that will enhance remote when you are into doing structurally the ITIL and putting your experience into judicial use. Okay. So that's how I see ITIL going to be very useful, irrespective of what support we are going to remote support. Anything of support will be still useful, whether you are on premise or on the cloud. Okay. Is it clear? Is my voice clear?
Yes, Suresh, your voice is clear now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments that you have? So this recording is going to be there. You can actually have a look at it, and this is available. So if you have any further questions and other stuff, feel free. We still have about 5 minutes, I believe, that we can take up. But as I told you, you have to get the basics right with some practical experience, and then you can advance yourself in the career. So one of the things that we do from an Edureka perspective is to give people that right platform, the right connect, contact, and give you hands-on trusted advice with role, so that you can make decisions. So I will take a pause here. Let's see if I have answered any questions.
Okay, thank you, Suresh. Thanks for the insightful presentation. I'm really thankful to you for conducting this webinar today. It was indeed a great session.
Thank you, everybody, and have a rest of the evening or night as well. I hope to see you all soon then. Thank you.
Thank you. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a huge success. The recording will be available on techgig.com very soon. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time.